Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. We're so grateful to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Kelly and Jesse.
We're huge fans of Tian-Chen, and
Oh,
the,
thank
the,
you.
We talk about you a lot.
yeah, we do. In fact, funny story I host a lot of podcasts, and whenever we recap an episode, we have an MVP and an LVP for all of our shows. But we
Mm.
make them show specific, so we give them fun names. So our MVP is the Pancakes Award.
Oh, very appropriate. Yes.
Yes.
You
and
either get
and Tian,
pancakes or box. Yeah.
yeah. Tian-Chen has gotten the pancakes a few times. We're gonna kind of go
For
back and
sure.
forth
Sure.
with what we wanted to talk to you about. But yes, we're just so grateful that you could be here.
So I feel like Tian-Chen is a super trope busting character as far as Asian representation and female representation goes. Um, she's just a very real representation of femininity and womanhood and motherhood, and it's not something you see on TV every day. Was this something that was on the page from the beginning, or is this something that you brought more as like a collaborative nature with the writers?
Um, I think I told John before that the writer, that even though he didn't know me, he actually written Tian-Chen for me. It is so much me. I find so much me in her that is parallel to my own life. Her struggles is something that, may be part of my life or part of what I've seen. In real life, my mom used to own a diner at one point,
Oh wow!
and I used to serve and take cash and everything, and my mom used to be in the back, so I've seen it all. And the struggle that she has with her language, it's something that I experience. So, of course, as a younger self, I'm not as mature as Ten-Chen, because I think Ten-Chen is more stronger in her view of, she doesn't really care what other people think of her. She's who she is. Whereas, in my real life, I had a little struggle. I found my way in and out of the Canadian Chinese culture. And so there's so much part of me, and I see so much her in my own life that made it so much easier for me to portray Ten-Chen, because not only I personally experienced it, I witnessed, the struggle my parents had. It's in every aspect and fabric of my life. And so I think it's a collaboration of, the writing, how John created the character, and how it weaved into my own life. And that's what Tin-Chan, that just brought Tin-Chan forward and alive.
That was an amazing answer. Thank you so much.
I wanted to talk to you about the incredible scene you had in season 1 with Jade, with David Alpay. When he says to you, "They come with you when you go," and he tells you the story about his grandmother. Can you talk more about what you think Tian-Chen's feelings were about going home in general? Was she a little afraid to go back to her old life without her husband there? Was she kind of almost attached to this place in a way because she lost her husband there? Can you tell me a little bit about what you think her feelings were on that?
I think for Tin-Chan, where her husband is buried, and that's where the home should be.
Yeah.
It's very much of the Chinese culture where the dead is buried in their homeland. And so I think there's part of Tin-Chan that, she doesn't really want to go, because that's where her husband is buried. And so that separation, even though they're already separated by death, but that physical separation, I think it's very hard on her.
Wow.
So I think she would struggle. She struggled with that.
That
Hmm.
makes what you said about that being a big thing in the Chinese culture, that just makes what Jade said so much more meaningful.
Absolutely.
Just that's
That
really
just broke
beautiful.
my heart when I first saw the script. I was already crying
I can
because it's
imagine.
like, it just so close to heart, and when Jade opened up like that, it just you can't but just melt,
Yeah,
right? There's
agreed.
nothing else you could do. You just have to melt.
Now, I do have a follow-up question with your relationship with Jade. So before that scene, there was your character had a conversation with Kenny in the diner, and you said something about you don't like him very much. He's selfish and lazy. And Kenny laughed and said, "That's you say that about all the people you really like." And there was a scene before then when Jade was sitting in the diner, and your character was kind of trying to calm him down a little bit and brought him tea and made him drink it. And what do you think it is about Jade that Tian-Chen took to, since he's such a difficult person to get along with?
I think I think Tian-Chen sees it as a challenge. He's like a little rebellious child. And what she talked about, she just mentioned all the stuff that is very on the surface. He's lazy, he's annoying, and it's all at the surface of what Jay portrayed. But she didn't want to get into the deeper part where, the softer part of Jay that she likes. She likes, the vulnerability, the soft heart person that he truly is, and the longing that he truly is. So, it's like all Chinese culture, they always go with the service, but the deep down, they save that and they don't review. And so I think that's what Kenny's talked about. You only talk about all the surface stuff, but you don't talk about the deep down that you truly like them because of
You guys are such a great pairing.
Yeah,
Like the two of
absolutely.
you together, great scene partners. So, how do you cope with the gloom and doom setting of the show, and does it have any effect on your mental health? Especially, your character spends a lot of their screen time grieving. Does that affect you, or are you like more able to compartmentalize?
Thank you for that question. I think this is the first time that I've ever got asked about that question. It does affect me. And because I have to tap into a lot of the grief and a lot of the sadness, a lot of the what we deem to be negative emotions. I have to tap into that. And once you tap into that, it's, you're going to go into a place where you may or may not want to go. But I'm very fortunate to have, friends and family, and even my castmate. Oftentimes, sometimes I do go to my castmate and have that after debrief, just so that, I can let go of all those negative feelings. And we deem to be it's deemed to be negative, but sometimes the negative feelings, those sadness, those grief, actually prompt us to go to a different place and to reflect on different things. So I'm actually the person I am because of all those mixed up emotions. But you're right. There are times that I do have to talk to a friend, talk to a castmate, let all those emotion out. But I also make a point of making sure that I stay in that place,
Yeah.
and I truly feel every aspect of those emotions, and pull out, once I think, I had enough of that, and then I have to pull out. Yeah, so there's a time of everything. There's a
They
time
put you guys through it.
because as an actor, we have to feel everything. And in order to portray, the story in every aspect, we have to live those things in ourselves. So yeah, it's a fine balance sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thing. So I want to talk a little bit about your death. Unfortunately, well, your Tian-Chen's death, not your death. Obviously, you're with us today, but it was obviously heartbreaking, and I know a lot of people are and will be very heartbroken over her loss. It's just
Absolutely.
such a. I mean, she was just such a bright light,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that I just thought was so absolutely beautiful is that in the episode episode 2, Kenny and Boyd are out in the woods together, and Boyd tells Kenny, your last words, despite not knowing any Cantonese whatsoever. He
Mm-hmm.
committed those words to memory. Now, obviously Tian-Chen was going through something really traumatic, so I don't even know if she was capable of any kind of thought process. But if she, I mean, if she was, do you think that she was, and do you think that she said those words deliberately with the hopes that Boyd would possibly be able to pass them on? Or do you think she probably was just not thinking and it just came out?
I think she was in such a desperation
Yeah.
that it's a normal reflection of or reactive to speak in her own language. And also the last thing on her mind is her son. So I think that speaks to our natural reaction when we're in a stressful situation. Who do you think of the most? Who would you miss the most? And those would come up. And obviously Tian-Chen has a tendency of speaking in Chinese whenever she's in a situation where she finds her language to be a little bit challenged. So first thing would be her Cantonese would come out, and that's what our natural tendency would be. Whatever our mother tongue is, that's in our thoughts. So I think it's just speaks to the natural behavior of human beings, and just speaks to in that stressful situation, who does she think of the most, and who's the most important to her, and and I don't think she even think that, oh, boy wouldn't understand,
Yeah.
right? And that's why she kept repeating, because that's what in her thoughts.
I feel like Tian-Chen and Boyd were they had such a nice friendship.
Mhm.
They seemed to have a lot of respect for each other, and it was just all of your scenes together I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Harold is just such a great actor to be working with.
Yeah.
He's on the point, on his he's ready 10 minutes
Yeah.
ago, or right, he's always ready, he's always on his the reaction that he has, when he was looking at witnessing Tian-Chen's death.
Oh my goodness.
His tension is
Brutal.
it's just heartbreaking. Just
Yeah.
watching him. You don't have to watch how she died, but just watching him just gives you that that sadness, that
Absolutely.
intensity. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
great.
really played that beautifully.
I really love the detail of you and Sarah's characters playing dress up together. Your character brought particularly a lot of moments of joy and lightness to an otherwise very dire situation. Is this something that you carry into your own life? And how do you feel like the members of the town are going to continue without that light, especially, Kenny?
Oh, that is so heartbreaking. And I think the moments with Sarah, uh, um, actually, when I was playing my scene, flashes of scenes with different individual, actually they do go through my mind, and I just lean into the fact that, you know, not only Tian-Chen is separating, she's not dying, but
Mhm.
you know, in my real life, I am being separated by all these people in real life, and flashes of scenes actually do go through my play in my mind when I was dying. You know, the scenes with Jay, with Kenny, with Sarah. There's so many things that went through. Um, and it, you know, with Sarah, it's also a very polarized
Yeah.
relationship,
Mhm.
right? You have opposite end of deep love and pain,
Yeah.
you know, and so that makes it, that makes the relationship very interesting, and there's so many layers in those scenes. Even with her saying, you know, even just reading the script, I was
Mhm.
crying, you know,
Oh.
that Sarah had that memory with her. And so, yeah, now all
It
that,
really got me.
now I forgot what the question is. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Now, when and how did you learn that Tian-Chen was getting killed off?
Um, at least a month and a half, you know, before we shot the first episode. So I got the call from John, and then Jack and Jeff came on the call. They told me the news, and they're very encouraging. They're very respectful, and from the call, I really sensed their compassion. That they don't really want to do it. This is the most difficult job, to call someone and telling them that, you know, you're being killed off. Um, but you know, it took me a few weeks to go through all my different emotion and to reflect and stuff. But once I accepted it, I welcomed it with, you know, with a sense of I want to take up this challenge. I want to play this because this is my dying scene, my last scene. I have to play it with all my might, with all my emotion, with everything I got. So yeah, so that's how I took it. It took a while, but I
Awesome.
got there.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for making this available. I'm very honored. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we will miss Tian-Chen dearly, and we just hope that maybe we'll continue to see her on the show. Maybe. I know you can't say anything, but I mean, you know, Sean is still around. So
Yeah, yeah, and Tom is still around,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
So and Abby too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're
There's lots
keeping
of
our fingers
precedent.
crossed.
Thank
Well,
you for having me. Thank you for
Thank you so much.